Hi, this is Kelly Brown, and we are working on how to print in Excel. Printing in Excel can be tricky. It's something you want to be very careful and purposeful about. You don't want to just click File, Print, because many reams later of paper, you might get a little frustrated. So you want to be very careful with how you print. What I always keep in mind is if someone asks me to print data from a worksheet, I ask what is the purpose of the print? Because a lot of times you have a lot of columns of data that may not be pertain to the purpose of the print. If we look at the data that we have in front of us and someone told me, could you please print the mailing information? Well, I would see that there's some columns here that I wouldn't need for mailing information. Specifically, I wouldn't need a middle name column, I wouldn't need a grade column, I wouldn't need a gender column, and I wouldn't need a teacher column because all of those have nothing to do with mailing information. So I would want to hide those columns first. Hiding a column just means it'll be temporarily not visible. I can definitely get the data back. So to hide columns, I would click on the column that I don't want to be visible right now. I'll click on column C for middle name. I'm going to hold my mouse button down and drag over because I don't need grade and I don't need gender. And since they're right next to each other, I can click and drag to select them all. Then I'm going to place my cursor over any of those letters, C, D, or E, right click, and scroll down, and the second to last choice is hide. I'm going to click on hide, and now those columns are not visible. Again, I can get them back. I also do not need a teacher column for mailing information. So I'm going to click the letter for that column, J, to select it. I'm going to right click over that letter, and the second to last choice is hide, and now that column is no longer visible. So the columns that are left are columns that I do need for mailing. Last name, first name, address, city, state, and zip. I do notice that the first name and last name columns are reversed. So I think I want the first name column first. So I'm going to click on the first name column, click on the letter B. I'm going to right click over the letter, and I'm going to click cut. Then I'm going to place my cursor over column A because the inserted column will appear to the left of the selected column. I'm going to right click over the column A. I'm going to scroll down till I see Insert Cut Cells. I'm going to click on Insert Cut Cells, and now the first name column is first, then the last name, then the address, then city, state, and zip. So now I have the data that I want to print. So I want to make sure that that is the only data that will print. So when I'm talking about printing in Excel, I usually have to go to the Page Layout tab. I click on the Page Layout tab, and then almost right below it, there's a button that says Print Area. I'm going to click on Print Area. The first drop-down choice is Set Print Area. That's what I want to do. I really should select the columns first. So I'm going to click on column A, drag over to column I. Those are the columns that I want to print. Then I go to the Page Layout tab. Then I go to Print Area. Click the drop-down area, click Set Print Area. Now what is selected is what I have designated should print. I can also click on the View tab, and then go to the left, and there's a Page Break Preview. If you're dealing with a lot of rows and a lot of columns and you want to make sure that the data is printing on the page correctly, you want to click on Page Break View, and it'll show you exactly what data will appear on what page. Our data will appear on one page, will only fit one page, so we have it all together. But if we had a lot of data, it would break down page 1, page 2, page 3, so you would know where the breaks are occurring, and you could just click and drag these lines here. If I place it over there, I can click and drag, and I could designate where the break should be. Okay, for our purposes, for what we have right here, we're fine. We don't have to make any adjustments so far. So once I look at Page Break View, then I would click on File and click on Print. And there's a Print Page Preview available to me. I see it now, but if you don't see it, there's a button that says Print Page Preview, and you just click on it. So I can see how my printed page will appear. If I had trouble here, where data was not, if one piece of data bled over to a second page because it didn't fit on the first page, or I was trying to get something to fit on one page because it's bleeding over. This is where I would make those adjustments. Under settings, you see it says print active sheets. If I click on that drop down arrow, I could say print entire workbook, print selection. You have choices there. Print one-sided, that has to do with printing. Collated has to do with printing. But portrait orientation, you can change the orientation if you click on there from portrait to landscape. If I chose landscape, it looks like that. I might like that better. Letter, we'll talk about the size. You can do it standard size or legal size or other sizes. Margins, if you click there, they have some margin settings. If you don't like those, you can click here on custom margins to adjust it according to the data. And then you have scaling on the very last choice. There you can right away say you want all the fit sheets on one page, fit all columns on one page, fit all rows on one page, or the very last choice says custom scaling, scaling options. And you see here it says adjust to 100% normal size. That's the default. But say, you've got a column bleeding over to the second page and it's just only so much. You can go percentage point by percentage point. It goes by fives, but I could type in 84% if I wanted to get it exactly the size that you want to print. When I click on margins, here's where I can adjust the alignment. I could center it on the page horizontally, and you see the preview here shows me what it looks like. And I can center it on the page vertically, and if I deselected that, it would go back to the left. So those are some options that are also available to you. Okay, so that's a little information about how to print in Excel.